thinking about turning banana peels and dead leaves into black gold in just a few weeks instead of half a year? Welcome to rudeinsect.com.
And spring 2026 really is the moment to sort your compost setup out because once planting season hits, everybody suddenly remembers they need better soil.
That's true. Every spring, gardeners get ambitious. Then they look at their old compost heap and realize it's still mostly a sad pile of half-rotted stems.
Which is exactly why compost tumblers appeal to so many people. They're enclosed, easier to manage, and they speed things up. Instead of waiting months and months, you can often get usable compost in around 4 to 8 weeks if you're doing it right.
That time difference is what grabs people. I've seen extension guidance suggesting tumblers can cut composting time by about half compared with a static pile. And for spring gardeners, that's a big deal.
Especially if you want compost ready for raised beds, vegetable starts, or containers early in the season. A tumbler keeps moisture and heat more consistent, which helps decomposition move along instead of stalling every time the weather changes its mind.
And it's not just for people with huge gardens either. If you've got a backyard, great. If you've got a tiny patio or balcony and you still want to compost neatly, a tumbler can fit into that routine a lot better than a wide open heap.
Right, but people do need to choose the size carefully. For most home gardeners, something in the 30 to 80 gallon range makes sense. If you're producing loads of kitchen scraps and yard waste, you may need larger. If not, too big can actually be awkward because you're trying to fill this giant drum with enough material to heat up properly.
See, I always lean bigger.
I know you do, and I think you're wrong at least half the time.
Half?
Fine. 60%. A lot of people buy the monster tumbler and then complain it's hard to turn. Ease of use matters. If the handle is awkward or the barrel is too heavy once it fills up, you won't rotate it often enough.
Fair. You want something that turns easily, because the whole point is regular aeration. Most folks should be giving it about 5 to 10 turns every few days, not wrestling it like an alligator.
And aeration and drainage are two features I'd never skip. Good airflow helps the microbes do their job, and drainage keeps the mix from turning into swamp soup. If it's soggy, composting slows down and the smell gets nasty.
Let's talk ingredients, because that's where beginners usually go off course. They toss in only kitchen scraps and then wonder why it's a slimy mess.
Exactly. You need a balance of greens and browns. Greens are your nitrogen-rich materials like fruit scraps, vegetable peels, and fresh grass clippings. Browns are carbon-rich materials like dry leaves, shredded paper, and small bits of cardboard. A good working ratio is about 2 parts browns to 1 part greens.
And moisture should be what, damp sponge level?
Yes, not dripping wet, not dusty dry. If it's too dry, add a little water. If it's too wet, add more browns. That one adjustment fixes a lot of compost problems.
I learned that the hard way after making what I can only describe as pumpkin stew in a tumbler one October.
I remember that. You were very proud of it for about 3 days.
Then less proud when I opened it.
Another practical point, materials matter. UV-resistant plastic or metal tends to hold up better through weather swings, especially if the tumbler sits out year-round.
And compared with a traditional compost bin, the tumbler does have a higher upfront cost. That's the main hesitation for a lot of gardeners.
True, and some tumblers hold less than a big open bin, so if you've got a massive property with endless debris, you may be emptying it more often, but for convenience, cleaner operation, fewer pest issues, and faster compost, a tumbler is hard to beat.
So if someone's heading into spring 2026 and wants better soil without babysitting a compost heap, the tumbler is probably the easier path.
Yes, especially for beginners. Pick a practical size. Make sure it has solid aeration and drainage. Keep that 2-to-1 brown to green balance, and turn it every few days. Do that, and your garden gets fed while your household waste goes down.
Which is one of the few spring projects that saves money, reduces waste, and makes your tomatoes happier.
And if your tomatoes are happy, you're probably happy too. Thank you for listening to this edition of rudeinsect.com, Conversations with Grant and Fiona.